What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new episode. Coach Joe here with Heartletics.com. And let's talk all about cardio. At the end of the day, the reason why I'm honestly making this episode is because one, my lovely clients, right? The members of the Heartletics family, the Heartletics Nation, right? I want to make sure that you guys understand cardio. But second, we get a lot of people that apply for coaching, right? So, I'm the type of individual where I just understand how to make my life a lot easier. And instead of me responding back to, let's say, a potential prospect they're looking to apply for our coaching program over at Heartletics, right? They're like, man, this stuff's awesome. I need the accountability. I need the community. I need the support, right? But they might have some questions. So one of the questions that we always get is like, hey, Joe, will I have to do cardio? Or there's like, hey, I've tried all this cardio before in the past, Joe. What do I do to burn body fat? And I'm sure you're probably wondering the same thing. So let me give you the background. Let me kind of talk things through. This is more of a value information based episode podcast where I just want you guys to burn body fat. I want to, obviously leave this world a better place than how I found it. So at the end of the day, I want you guys to understand everything about cardio. So let's dive in. For starters, who do we help out at Heartletics? Right? The reason why we have this, Fit Over 40, coaching program is because we help out guys that are over the age of 40 years old. And typically, right, through the age of 40, right, these guys, some of them, right, banged up, maybe they were in the military, maybe different occupations, maybe, sports injuries before the past, whatever the case may be, right? Like, we get so many people that apply for our coaching program. We know that, hey, we need to first and foremost figure out who is that individual, right? And then second, it's like, let's go off creating a plan for them. Most of the time, honestly, there's probably about 98% of the people, they don't want to run. They don't want to do cardio, and that's totally understandable. I don't either. And a lot of these guys, like I mentioned before, some of them have different injuries. So we have to cater these guys and kind of understand, okay, first off, the time commitment that works best for this individual. Second, any past or current injuries that they're facing. And third, do they work out at home? Do they work out in the gym? And then also last, we take things in consideration okay, hey, let's say this person wants to do cardio, right? And I don't know, let's say they live in a month over here, right? Where it's Cleveland, Ohio, right? So they live in a state like this where, eventually the holidays are going to be coming up. It's going to get colder outside. Maybe it's they want to run, but they don't go to the gym and they don't have a treadmill at home. What are some other ways to skin a cat to burn body fat? I don't see this individual running outside in a blizzard, right? So that's why this episode is going to exist, because I want you guys to know everything about cardio. At the end of the day, I'll give you the short answer first, because I know I always go on these Coach Joe rants because I'm trying to educate you guys, but also the best way to educate somebody is just by kind of just helping them think differently. That's all these episodes are about, is helping you think differently to get the results that you're after, plain and simple. So first off, long story short, it's completely up to you if you want to do cardio or if you don't want to do cardio. It is just a tool to burn body fat. That's it. It's just a tool to help you stay in a calorie deficit. That's it, right? So plain and simple. You don't need to do it. And if you don't want to do it, then don't do it, right? It's completely up to you. That's the short, simple answer. Now, if we're going to break things down specifically, let's go into, some beneficial effects of cardio. Obviously, it's great for your heart. It's great for, just being active. It's great for building habits. It's great for self-discipline. I think it's great, right, in those types of things. Now, here's why I think it's great. Because my mindset about cardio is, okay, how do I just move more? That's it. Somebody like yourself, your mindset of cardio might be, okay, cardio means running. Cardio means HIIT training. Cardio means burpees and jumping jacks and sprints. See? That's where we're different. That's why the members inside of our, Fit Over 40 coaching program at Heartletics, these guys understand, because they not only know how to train their body, right, and how to eat properly for their goals, they understand the nutrition, they also have a different mindset. And once again, I just hope that you think about things differently from today's episode. That's it. I always say, you can respond or you can react to something, but we always like to educate somebody, just say, hey, take a step back and observe. So just observe that, hey, when it comes down to cardio, it's not the end all be all that you have to do. It could be as something as simple as, okay, what is anything that we can do to burn body fat, to stay within a calorie deficit? Like, it's not necessary. There's some health benefits to it, but like I said, it's not necessary. There are plenty of ways to skin a cat. So cardio, let's break it down also. There's different types of cardio. I'll start from like aggressive to the least aggressive. How about that? So the most aggressive form of cardio is probably your HIIT, right? Your high intensity interval training. Typically that's where you're doing something explosive, right? You're getting a heart rate up to a certain max level, right? And you're exploding through using just explosive raw power, right? Maybe that's a sprint, maybe that's burpees, right? Where just like you're exhausting your body and then taking a few seconds off, like maybe 10, 15 until you're fully recovered again, and then doing that again. And like you might do that for 20 minutes, 25, 15. It's a little bit harder to obviously do that for a whole hour because eventually you start burning out your gas tank, right? You can't go as hard as you did in the very beginning, which is totally understandable, right? We're only humans here. So that's HIIT. Now with HIIT training, you are burning the most amount of calories. If you're looking for a tool of cardio to burn the most amount of calories, that is your tool right there. Now with that being said, who we train is guys over the age of 40. Once again, maybe bad knees, bad backs, older. Typically these guys are over 30% body fat anyway, so they got these big old dad bods. It's going to be pretty hard to tell these guys, hey, get up and down off the ground, do some burpees for 20 seconds, right? That's not sustainable. That's not enjoyable. That's not what Heartletics is. But maybe yourself that's trying to get the most bang for your buck and burn the most calories, right? Maybe that's what you want to do. Go ahead. Hats off to you, right? Like, that's your world, right? We're all just kind of living in it at this point. So you can do that. But understand, like, your HIIT cardio, like, it's hard to recover. It's exhausting on the body. That's why you don't see many people do it every single day. They usually space out, do a few times a week. Now, once again, that's your most aggressive form of cardio. The second, I would say, is your moderate intensity. And think of things like running, jogging, the elliptical, the stair climber, maybe like a cycle or like biking, or maybe like a rower machine, right? That's your form of cardio also. So it's not as aggressive as, let's say, HIIT interval training, but at the same time, it's a little bit easier on your body. So for example, if someone's going to be doing, I don't know, for 30 minutes straight, the elliptical versus, I don't know, sprints or burpees or whatever their form of HIIT training is, well, guess what? It's a lot easier and less taxing on the body to recover from doing the elliptical for 30 minutes as opposed to doing the burpees and the sprints, okay? Are you going to be burning as many calories? Absolutely not. But at the end of the day, it might be a little bit more sustainable for you. Now, the last little bit of cardio, which is my favorite form, and this is what is one of our 7 essential fat loss habits that we go over inside of our wow, completely missed that up. Almost literally said, all right, a competitor's name, Fit Father Project. That's not obviously who we are. They're a great program though, hands down. Like, go try them out if you want to. But if you want better results, you know where to go. Anyways, for just, Fit Over 40 program, where we like to focus on what's sustainable. We like to focus on what's easy. We like to focus on what's enjoyable and understanding that, like, hey, we could probably do this, not just one day a week, but maybe several. And it could actually become a habit where overall you're just doing it without even thinking about it. And that's, guys, just your form of walking. That's it, right? Walking. We have these 7 essential fat loss habits. 1, calories. 2, macros. 3 is your resistance training. 4 is NEAT, which stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis. That's our form of cardio. So telling guys to get up and go for a walk, and it doesn't have to be like a set, like, hey, 30 minutes here or like an hour here, like you have to block that off. It could be just a reminder of you just putting on like a fitness tracker watch and just, hey, by the end of the day, you're trying to get 10,000 steps. Does that mean 10,000 steps in one sitting? Absolutely not. It's just 10,000 steps by the end of the day. And most of the time it's very understandable and doable to do that. Now, there's plenty of ways to also compensate that to, let's say, I don't know, a push-up or a sit-up. If, let's say, you're living in cold winter months, and you can't, basically, go outside for a walk, or you can't get those steps. Once again, there's plenty of ways to skin a cat. Now, the reason why I prefer walking, and why that, in my opinion, I'm not trying to get into the specifics or anything of that at all, right? Because I can tell you guys about how, getting to a certain heart rate, you're then using glycogen as opposed to body fat, right? For that energy sources. And walking, right, has been shown to help you burn primarily body fat because you're not using glycogen, because your heart rate's not up. I don't care about that, and neither should you. Because at the end of the day, like, that's just the science, that's just the education behind it. What you need to understand is, what can you do today that you can also do 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the road? That's it. That is what we always educate, our members on, starting a habit. What is something that they can do and it's sustainable? What is something that they can do that's enjoyable? What is something that they can do to making sure that, hey, they're in alignment with their goals? And typically it's just walking. Easy things like that. We coach a lot of guys, bad backs, injuries, bad knees. Walking is something that most people, even with bad knees and bad backs, can still do. It's very therapeutic. Another reason why I like walking so much is the mental, right, side of it, the mental health benefits. Like, literally, if you have the opportunity, maybe not like in, November or December or whatever, January, but, maybe a nice fall day or spring or summer, go for a walk in the park. Like, there is something so therapeutic about just walking outside in nature. It is just the mental bliss that I get is by far so amazing, and I enjoy that. It's like a really good peaceful time for me, if that makes sense. I put in some binaural beats or just any kind of instrumentals, right? No lyrics, nothing like that, and I just walk. That's it. And the main reason why I have those headphones in my ears, because most of the time, right, if I'm walking out and about, somebody's stopping me and they want to talk to me or whatever the case may be, I got those headphones in my ears just so they know, like, hey, don't talk to me, right? And I just like to observe, and I love that. Call me a weirdo, but I love nature. So that's cardio, guys, in a nutshell, right? 3 different types. There's your HIIT. There's your moderate intensity. There's your LIST, right? Your low intensity steady state. Like, for example, walking. Obviously, there's pros and cons, right? In an hour span, if you were going to do, I'll say it like this. In a 20-minute window, right? If you're going to do HIIT cardio compared to going for a walk, well, guess what? You're going to burn a lot more calories doing HIIT cardio. But with that being said, if you make this duration instead of 20 minutes as opposed to 60 minutes, it's probably going to be a lot easier for that individual to do walking for 60 minutes than HIIT cardio for 60 minutes. Now, granted, right, you're still going to burn a lot more calories when it comes to the HIIT interval training as opposed to the walking, but in terms of sustainability, in terms of enjoyment, in terms of also recovery, walking is always going to have the upper hand when it comes to burning body fat. Now, the rest of this podcast, let's get into the real reason why we're talking about cardio, and that is leading by example. Leading by example. Now, I'm not saying, right, like, you can't go run with your kids, you can't go, do sprints or teach them, burpees and jumping jacks. By all means, right, you can definitely do that. But in terms of you, the listener, or you, the already member, think about it like this, okay? If, let's say, you're at work, it's very easy, right? Obviously, if your work allows this, to maybe use your lunch break to have a protein bar, a protein shake, and maybe just go for a walk. Something like that. Because now, all of a sudden, people are seeing what you're doing. You're leading better by example. Put in terms of your family, it's a lot easier, right, to say, hey, Johnny, let's go for a walk, man. Let's just talk, And, like, I gave Coach Mark a shout out. I told him about it, how much I value the relationship between him and his son, because they're always out at the movie theaters. And I love that. I cannot wait till my son's a little bit older. Right now he's 3. So we've been to one movie so far and it was great. But at the same time, like, I want him a little bit older so that way I can make sure, like, when we're at the movies and there's people around, like, he's okay. He knows how to stay quiet, right? Basically, long story short. He needs to be a little bit more mature. But regardless, I love that relationship that Mark has with his son. It's their time. They're bonding together, quality time. And like, let's face the facts here. Like, Mark's son is going right now, applying for different colleges. Like, that's gonna be Oakley here before I know it. And when Oakley's out of the house, that's gonna suck. Cause that dude's my best friend. Like, I love my son to death. And so, like, that's why I always tell people you need to focus on creating better leadership skills. Because now, in terms of like health and fitness and how I'm going to relate all this to just walking, it's a lot easier to say, hey, Johnny, let's go for a walk, man, and let's just talk. So now you're not just walking, right? Quietly by yourselves together, awkwardly like next to each other. You're actually talking. And I'll say it like this. I talked about this on a previous episode. It was trick or treat, right? Halloween. Kid says so confidently, hey, give me all your candy, I'm fat. And like, it just threw me for a loop. Completely ruined my evening because of how confident he was able to say that. Now, with me, right, let's just say like I'm walking with my son out and about. He's a little bit older, right? I don't know, 6, maybe he's 10, 12, whatever the case may be. It's very easy for me as a parent, as a father figure, to then have a conversation with my son and ask him about school, talk to him about like girls, right? Eventually when the time comes, talk to him about like things that he's struggling with and be there. Because the last thing that I want my son to do is affirming negativity in his life, like, I'm fat, give me the rest of the candy. And saying it so confidently. I want my son to say confidently, I love myself for who I am and who I'm becoming. I'm in the best. I'm literally like, I am the best version of myself today, right? And I'm gonna be the better version of myself tomorrow. I'm constantly progressing, right? I love myself. I'm confident. I'm worthy. I'm successful, right? I'm abundant. I want my son being confident. Those words, right? Those words that's going to have a positive impact, not just on his life, but obviously generations to come and whoever he's in impact with. That is why I like walking so much. Like everything that we do at Heartletics, if you're the coaching client members, you already know this. But if you're someone from the outside in, we're not just meal plans and workouts. Like we're community, we're support, we're leadership, we're building discipline skills. We're helping you level up, not just physically, but most importantly, mentally. That's what Heartletics is. So once again, like the reason why I like walking so much is because I don't look into terms of like, how can I get a benefit from doing this? Because of course, if I'm focused so much on my goals and just me, sure, I'm gonna go run some sprints. Like I can fully do that. I'm capable of doing that. But I'm taking everybody in consideration. Hey, what is something that I can do to benefit myself, but at the same time have a positive impact on others? Oh yeah, let's just go for a walk with my family. And guess what? That's a lot easier to do, talk about things, enjoy the outside, spend that quality time together, and we could probably do that again tomorrow, and then the following day, and then the following day, and then the following day. But the guys out there that want to do what's best, right? Because I want the fast results, I want the quickest results now, guess what? Those are the guys that lose the weight and then fall off the wagon, regain their weight right back. Those are the guys that every single year for New Year's, they have a New Year's resolution, and guess what? By February, they're falling flat on their face because they gave up, because they're not doing what's sustainable. They're not doing what's enjoyable. They're not doing what they're in alignment with, right? They're like, oh, thinking about this 20-year-old, football player back in the day self, instead of realizing, hey, I'm in my 40s. I got to be thinking about like what's sustainable here in my 50s, right? What is something that I can do today that's also going to be sustainable in my 50s? And if you're in your 50s listening to this, what is something sustainable that you can do today that's going to be sustainable in your 60s? Long-term effect. I was talking to my buddy Nick today at the gym, and I told him, I was like, bro, I ordered some new shoes, right? And he's like, jaw drops, like, what? Because I don't buy anything for myself. Like, I just invest. Like, anything that I get, I'm putting it to the business first, right? I'm putting it to my mindset. I'm putting it to my family, like vacations, whatever the case may be. Like I care way too much about the experiences, the effect that you have on others, more than the mere materialistic things. Because at the end of the day, like the money, the clothes, right? Like that means absolutely nothing to me. And it's not like I'm going to bring that to the other side, but I'm going to have these memories, experiences, right? So long story short, I told Nick I ordered some shoes. He's like, well, what kind of shoes you get, right? And like, He's probably thinking like maybe some Nikes, maybe some Adidas, whatever the case may be, like something like that. No. I found it. It was, I think, Within Brands, whatever. And I showed it to him. And I'm like, yeah, man, these shoes, they're actually wide-toed box shoes, whatever. So that way there's space for your toes. Because I literally saw, right, this post on Instagram from Squat University talking about wide-toed shoes and the benefits of that. And how, our shoes are compressing our feet close together, and it's horrible for our feet. It's then horrible for our ankles. And then, dude, I got knee pain. I got back pain. This could be all stemming from my feet. So it's like, hey, I look in terms of that, like, what's something that I can do right now in my 30s, right, that can help me out in my 40s? And that's what I told Nick. I said, I ordered these shoes. I'm going to try them out. Fingers crossed they work. And who knows, maybe I can help myself of, let's say, having a better ankle support or whatever, having my toes fixed out properly, spaced out to where, I don't know, maybe it's beneficial for my knees to get less tension when I'm doing squats, something like that. That's in terms of literally how I always think about things is what is going to help me today, but also be beneficial for me tomorrow, long term. I want everybody listening to this podcast to have the same initial mindset and thought patterns. Do something today, right, that is going to help you long term. So we're obviously talking about cardio for this one. Now, you guys can, if you stay to the very end of this, right, you guys understand, like, man, I didn't even think about things like that Joe mentioned about, right? That, yeah, there are these different cardio, tools that at the end of the day, it's just a tool to help you stay in a calorie deficit, burn body fat, right? Like, sure, there's benefits, to your heart and everything like that. But long story short, it's just a tool. And you can use these tools, whatever best suited for you, your body type, your lifestyle, your schedule, your goals. And that's what's going to help you get one step forward to where you're trying to get to tomorrow. And so when it comes to choosing something for you, whether it's cardio, whether it's the food that you're putting in your body, right? Whether it's a training routine, whether it's hiring a coach, look into terms of what is going to help you out long term, not for the quick fix results, long term, because that's what's going to be more sustainable. That's probably what's going to be more enjoyable. And I always say this, if you can't do it for a year, don't do it for one day. It's that simple. And it's just how you think about things differently. And once again, I really hope that you guys think about things differently in the terminology of cardio, because there's a lot of guys that tried cardio in the past to try to burn body fat. They lose some weight, but then all of a sudden, next thing you know, they regain that weight right back. Funny how that works. So in terms of doing something what works best for you, look in terms of, hey, what is going to be enjoyable, sustainable? And if you want somebody to take all the guesswork out for you, that's what me and my team do. I mean, you could apply for coaching over at Heartletics.com. You can schedule a free, discovery call with one of my coaches and just kind of see if coaching makes sense for you. Because at the end of the day, we always like to educate people. And I'll leave you guys with this. Heartletics used to be, hey, the meal plans, the workouts, the check-ins, the supports, boom, you're getting great results. That's not what Heartletics is anymore. Heartletics is your unification of combining mindset trainings and thought patterns into daily habitual routines, right? AKA your habits, to help you stay in alignment with your health and fitness goals and journey through the good times and through the bad times. Because at the end of the day, I always like saying this. Anybody can do anything when life is great, when life is easy. But it's very hard to stick with something, right, when life throws you curveballs. And that's the inevitable. Life is always going to throw you curveballs. And that's why we put the emphasis on our mindset coaching phases to really help somebody overcome any past, self-limiting beliefs or insecurities and really just help them think about things differently. Which, once again, hopefully by the end of this, right, you guys are thinking about things, in terms of cardio differently than how you were before this conversation. So that's it, guys. I really hope that you guys got some value from today's episode. If you did, go ahead and share this on your Facebook page or maybe with a friend or a family member. And as always, guys, this has been Coach Joe with the Heartletics Podcast. I'll talk to you guys in the next episode. Peace out, Girl Scouts.